Okay, Tiffy, here we go. Welcome to the Mind Body Energy Project.
I'm here.
Okay, well, hello. Now I'm starting to think if I don't say to you, hit it, it's just, I
Oh,
mean,
well, that I get a little flustered when it comes to technology, and I was trying to find our live so I could watch people commenting.
I
But
see.
I'm here.
So,
I'm
for
here.
those of you who don't know, Mind Body Energy Project, we do our podcast live every second Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific. So, if you ever want to come and chat with us live, go to our Facebook page at MBE Project and mark your calendar, second Wednesday of the month.
Yes, we love interaction. I mean, we love when it's just the two of us, but when we get more people, it's just we don't know how the energy is going to shift and change, and we love it.
Right. Yep.
Hmm.
It's true.
And
Well,
more perspectives are always very enriching. So help Yolanda and myself to have more perspective on things by joining us.
help us navigate these swords. So
Hmm.
we have to say, I feel like we've said it in the last few podcasts, but listen, we are almost at the end of this tarot journey and we're
Yeah.
excited about it.
It's been a long journey.
It has been.
Yeah. So I guess it just like emulates life.
Yeah. Yep. And so we are on the swords, which are all about the mind and mastery of the mind
Hmm.
and just how the mind works. I think last week was when we talked about like some ways that we can be deceptive and how to work through that. And I think the beauty of this is because there are a lot of people have some reservations about the Suit of Swords. I think we're trying our best to look at the light in them and like how it really can support us. So yeah, before we get into that though, Tiffy, what's been new in your zoo? How are you
New
doing?
in my zoo.
Mm-hmm.
We just got a giraffe. I'm just kidding. Um, Good. Yeah. I'm working on my chakras course
Yes.
and it's taking every ounce of my being that I'm putting into it. So it's been a very interesting journey.
Well, that's really exciting, though. Is there anything you could tell us about it? Do you know how many modules it's going to be yet? Or,
Well, I think there's going to be probably like 10 modules.
Mhm.
And within that, there's probably like 4 sub-modules within each of them. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be a whole bunch of meditation and journaling prompts, guided meditations, journaling prompts. Like you're going to really discover things about yourself.
Isn't that something like how much goes in? Like right now, I'm in the middle of teaching intuitive mastery, which is 12 modules, but the same. There's like a lot of meditations, blah, blah, blah. And, but it's so long. Like, I think when you say that, when you say 10 modules, maybe 10 weeks, it doesn't sound too long, but really once you get into the thick of it, like there's a
Mm.
lot of
Ooh,
shifting that happens within that
yeah.
time frame.
Oh, I thought this was going to be a slam dunk in 2 months. I've been studying my whole life for this, right? And it finally, like, the trap door finally opened where the information started flowing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to spend how much time processing this right now?
Yeah.
But it's okay. That's the way, that's the way it works.
Well, it keeps us in our practice too. That's, I think,
Hmm.
one of my favorite things about sharing, whether it's through the podcast or, classes and all of these things. It helps to keep me in my practice. And every time you go through it, like say intuitive mastery, I've taught it several times, but each time it's like in my own space, I'm having like a new level of like cracking open or seeing in a new way. So
Hmm.
it's really, really cool. And the way that you're doing it, people, if they take the class, they'll be able to go back and revisit as well, right?
That's the thing. Like, it's not just a one-time investment. It's a
Yeah.
lifelong investment because the subject matter is it's broad enough that you can narrow down and fit different aspects of your life into each of the modules and get a very good return on that
Yeah. I could dig it. Well,
because we
I'm
are ever
excited.
evolving.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see your baby. My God, like
I
how
know,
long
me
has it
too.
been? Woo!
Like I said, a lifetime, maybe many lifetimes.
Well, I'm excited for you, love.
Thank
So
you.
you'll have to keep us posted on it.
What's new in your zoo?
I'm teaching intuitive mastery right now.
Okay.
And last night was week 5 out of 12. And so,
Woo!
yeah, I mean, it's been I feel like when I'm doing this class, in a lot of ways, it feels like my whole world revolves around it,
Yeah.
because it's very meaty, and it's very, again, like a lot of shifts happen, a lot of like clearing of our energy channels and going deeper into alignment with our higher mind. So, but it's really cool because I also feel this surge of energy, and I'm like, I don't know if it's Leo season, if it's like doing all this intuitive work, like what, but honey, I feel like a live wire.
Mm.
Yes.
But like a grounded live wire, or one that's kind
Nope.
of like all over the place. All right.
No. Actually, I do feel really grounded, because the truth is I've been able to direct this energy into getting things done. And so
Good.
I'm really thankful for, like, I'm going to make the most of it while I'm in this cycle and just, yeah, knock out what I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Here we go. Bum, ba-da-da.
Number 9.
Number
9? 8. That's what I said. 8. 8 is great.
8 of Swords.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Restriction, restriction, restriction.
Self-imposed, though.
Yes. Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
that's really the key, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
how many times the restrictions that we believe we're facing are of our own design. Like, we made it up in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I like about this, though, is that she's dipping her toe into the water. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like she knows that it's there, like the nurturing that she needs is there, and she's like touching it,
Yeah.
but she's choosing to remain bound.
But that's the thing. Like, when you are in those spaces, you have to be able to ask yourself, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I, what's holding you back? Whenever you feel like you can't move forward, or you feel like, something's impossible, or maybe like it just feels like there's some obstacle and you don't know how to get through, like, really think, like, what's holding you back? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of your chakra course, like, how long was that, like,
This has
something you
been me.
had self-imposed restrictions around?
This has been me.
Yeah. So how
And
did you move through that?
well, sometimes our self-imposed restrictions, they feel very real, and we need to approach it from a different angle or figure out what this other thing is. But a lot of times we stay in restriction because we choose to keep trying that same thing over and over again. That's not working.
So what did you change? Like, how did you get through that and finally start creating this course?
I don't know. I have to go back and revisit that and figure it out because I feel like I tried so many things.
I think the
I
one that comes up for me that's most like easy, and I use this example a lot, but it's like a big one, I think it was for me, is podcasting. Like, I had a lot of self-imposed restrictions around it, a lot of like fear,
Mhm.
a lot of excuses I made about like not having the right equipment, not knowing how to do blah, blah. Honey, I was bound by my BS. But the only thing that helped me to move beyond it is I had to, again, ask myself why. But more importantly, I had to think of what would motivate me to move beyond that. And
Mhm.
so my desire to share with people had to be greater than what I was making up in my head. And that's what actually helped me finally free myself.
Yeah. So, what, as you say that, it makes me think of how like we have to really face our own shadow work. I'm building a course on us doing our work, and I had to do mine too. I thought I've done my work, and I have, but we know that there's deeper things that come up, and a lot of times we subconsciously create these restrictions in order to protect ourselves from the anticipation of what that shadow might bring.
As you say that, I mean, looking back at the card again, it reminds me of a couple things. One, because part of the bandage is around her eyes. So it seems like the only thing you can do is look inward. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
about some external thing you need to figure out. Like, really, you need to go into the depths of your own mind to see what's going on, but also the positioning of the swords. So there's 5 behind her and 3 in front. So the 5 behind her, um, to me, it's almost symbolic of a change that needs to occur. Like, something has to change in your old point of view in order to move forward with these 3 swords in front of you, to create differently, to do differently, to just move ahead, make
Mm-hmm.
moves differently. So, yeah, it's interesting.
And it's ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. So I think innately the card is saying expansion is just right where she's like seeking with her toe to find that water, like expansion is there. So let go of the restrictions of your mind.
Well, now since you're bringing in planets, I mean, if you say Jupiter, of course, I'm going to think of Sagittarius, and I'm thinking of the higher mind. So again, like saying in a different way, like which lens are you using? Are you allowing yourself to see whatever it is from a higher point of view? And we talk about this all the time. I mean, sometimes it could be as simple as going into a meditation and intending to see from a higher lens, to move beyond the ego, to move beyond the fear, and see it from a neutral space. Take your own like judgments and emotions out of it and try to see it almost like as a third party. Like, what is this really about? What's really going on? And even sometimes thinking if it was a friend that was going through what you're going through, how would you support them or advise them to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay. All right. Want to go on?
Now, number 9, yes.
Oh, it's like you were waiting for it. How does this make you feel?
Stressed out.
You should describe the image for the people not watching.
So the image is a very stressful image. It looks like somebody's waking up out of bed in the middle of the night, and there's 9 swords going just like in the background, but there's a few of them going straight through this person's head, and their head is in their hands. They're very stressed out. So it's read as a card of anxiety, that there's something like bringing up a lot of stress and anxiety, and they're like holding their heads, waking them up in the middle of the night. And 9 is the number of fruition. So everything's like finally culminating together.
Yeah, it reminds me too of, I think when we obsess about things, like when there's just something in life, whatever we're obsessing about, and we lose sleep over it, it's like, you can't stop the monkey mind. But again, it's like, what is that about? Like, why are you obsessing over whatever this is? And it may be possible that you need to see it in a different way. I think 9 for me also, the number in of itself, it always makes me think of being in our integrity. So when I think of this about like even how we may be obsessing over things or what's going on, it's like looking at the role you're playing in it, whatever it may be, but also like, what are you trying to control? I think sometimes we get so obsessive and like lose sleep over things because we can't release the control that we want things to turn out in a very particular way or how we think it should unfold. And it's like, but what if you just let it unfold? Or what if you let go of trying to be so rigid and controlling? Then what would happen?
And it's ruled by Mars, so the planet of war, but also Mars asks us, like, how do we react to things? So how is your reaction to what that thing that you're obsessing about is?
It makes me think of like, every time I think of like 2 things are coming to mind. One, that like when we obsess about things, how it makes you feel, like I don't want to make myself feel sick. Okay. So
I feel like this. I feel like this card when I obsess.
No, but the motivation for me to not obsess about things is I don't like the physical feeling of it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of too, this isn't about obsession, but my mom is not a yeller. Like she never would yell about things. And I always thought that was interesting. But as I got older, I started to recognize, like, if I would yell and be triggered and respond in that way, the strain it would put on my heart. And I didn't like the way it physically felt to be in that kind of upset. So even now, like, I really pay attention to my body. If my body feels off, if it doesn't feel good in my being, what's going on in my mind or my emotion, honey, it's like a halt. I got to stop and figure it out because I don't want to feel like crap. No.
I think oftentimes we get so used to this just being the way. We get caught up in societal perspectives of like, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to be, and then our emotions attach to those ideologies and those constructs, and then we end up creating our emotional body around that. So as we were talking about, those illusory restrictions in card 8, reassessing what those actually mean in our life and if they're actually worth it. And then changing perception.
Yeah, but you also, I think one of the hard things for us is we get so tied to our stories. And it's also recognizing, like, you don't have to obsess about something for it to be real or to be right or to, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we cling so much to whatever the thing is in our mind because we want it to be like validated or justified or something. So it's like we just refuse to let it go. It's
Amen.
like, fuck it, let it go.
Been there. Been there.
Honey, woo, free yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's easier said than done, everybody that's listening.
Well, but when we
just,
don't, what happens? When
yes,
we don't, we usually get to
right.
10. Honey.
Dead.
A painful ending, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It makes
It
me
sure
think
is.
of the times where we've held on, we've obsessed, whatever has been going on. And then we hit bottom or like something shifts even outside of our control, whatever it may be. And this card too could be literally like someone stabbed you in the back. But the beauty of it is if you see in the background, the sun is on the horizon. So even when we go through things that are challenging, when the ending of things sometimes could be hard and scary and just feel like crap, the beauty is there's new opportunity that awaits. And, you know, we may have to move differently, but we still are able to have something.
I mean, this card is kind of almost pleasant coming from this one, right? Because it's like, even though this thing eventually did take us out, at least we can begin again. You know, like it's actually over now. And yeah, I like how it is the blue and the yellow, and the blue is clarity and yellow is illumination. And it's like this black background is moving up and out. So it's almost like this thing that was causing us so much stress and anxiety or whatever it was is finally being released. So like the puncturing of the swords is actually allowing a place for it to move out.
And sometimes we need that. I mean,
yeah.
I think sometimes when things hurt and they're devastating, again, whether it's like a hard ending or betrayal or whatever it is, you're also on the light side of it being shown something. You know what I mean? Maybe you were being shown something that you were ready to move away from, or that showing you something that just, it wasn't serving you anymore. And so like something had to get you to let go of that grip and just like be done with it all. So as challenging as it can be, sometimes we're able to see there's also simultaneously something very supportive about it.
Yeah. And even just looking at the timeline of these, as you say that, it makes me think about how sometimes we get messages from the universe telling us like, hey, this is, maybe you want to shift this or change that, and we don't listen. And so we create tighter and tighter restrictions with our minds. And then it takes something more catastrophic in order to get us to this ending so that we can move forward. So I think that's an interesting way to look back on things sometimes so that we don't do it in the future.
Totally.
You know, so not waking up and doing this. So you can just use that as a tool that has strengthened the muscle of you to recognize sooner and then make different decisions faster.
And you know, I like to go backwards. So
yes, let's
like
do
if
it.
you are somewhere in a place where you just are coming out of like a very painful ending, feeling betrayed, anything that has made your world come crashing down, yeah, it's likely that you're going to obsess about it. You may lose sleep about it. You may feel sick about it. You may have a really hard time. It may cause you anxiety and all kinds of fear. But at some point you have to recognize all of that fear and anxiety. It's just a point of view. It's all in your mind and how you're choosing to see it. So you have to have that moment when you're ready of really asking yourself, how can I see this differently? How can I see the support in this? How can I see the light in this? How can I see the benefit? And how do I want to move on? Free yourself.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. She said Party is here listening. Hey, Party. So, yeah, 8, 9, and 10. I guess of all of the swords, let me look at them. Maybe those are the ones that are more challenging, that make people freak out. Because I think the other ones that we've gone through, Ace through 7, well, you know, last week, 7, 6, and 5, 5, 6, 7. Those were like, yeah, some deceptive kind of energies, but it wasn't like gut wrenching, you know.
3 freaks people out. I know we talked about that when we did the podcast, but that one really freaks people out.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the beauty of these cards is they really give us an opportunity to understand how the mind can really confine us and how the mind can really like send us into these tailspins that upset us on all levels. Our mind is like the base of the emotions, the physical feeling, all of these things. So I think it's probably a good idea that this suit highlights the more challenging aspects of mind, so we can come into consideration of like, okay, well, what do you do when you're faced with these type of energies?
It's almost as if the suit of swords is the foundation of all the other suits,
And I
because
think the mind is the foundation of
it
everything.
is. Yeah. So however we're perceiving our emotions, how we're perceiving our desires, how we're perceiving our abundance and what we actually have in life, it all starts with the swords. And I think that's why this suit is so intense, and the messages in all of the pip cards are so intense.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it when we did Ace through 4. I think the challenge for the swords with people is it really highlights our own responsibility. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can't finger point, it's not them. Like, you are the
Right.
one managing your mind and how you perceive things. So I guess the highlight of this suit will be next week when we talk about the court cards, and really looking at maybe like the ways that we can master the mind, especially
Mm-hmm.
more, I guess, with the Queen and King. But it's more light. Next week, as we end the swords, it'll be on a higher note in terms of mental energy. So
Well,
that's
we needed to express that which wasn't serving us in order to get into that higher mentality, right?
heck yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
can't move forward holding all that crap and that stuff holding you back. Like,
Mm-mm.
it's like one of my good friends always says, like, you have to go through it to get through it. And it's true. Like, we will be held hostage
Mm-hmm.
by our minds if we refuse to see things another way, if we refuse to deal with or interact with things in a different way. Like, you're going to be real stuck
Mm-hmm.
until you decide not to, or something happens that just like pulls the rug from under you and you have no choice but to do it differently. But you don't want to do that.
No, you want to be able to anticipate those and stop it before the rug comes out.
Yeah, participate in your mind, participate in your life overall, so that you can have more of a hand at the causation in your life, rather than feeling like life is happening to you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what all of this work is about, really. That's what we talk about in the Mind Body Energy Project, like all of the ways we can learn to be the ones that are managing our own minds, emotions, and energy, and how impactful that is to our life. Because the truth is, if you're not managing your mind, somebody else is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it
And
through advertisement, they're
yeah,
doing it through music, they're doing it through your Facebook feed.
the
Honey,
news.
listen, you better manage your mind.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, I hope Facebook doesn't take this down for us saying that. If they do, just go to YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't YouTube owned by Facebook?
No,
Oh,
Google.
they're not. Oh, I thought they were all the same thing. I'm
No,
kidding. No, I'm
ma'am.
not.
No, ma'am. So we're almost done with the swords. Like we said, next week will be the court cards. We would love to hear from you, like what your experiences are with the different energies we talked to as it relates to the suit of swords. And then we will end this whole journey with the pentacles.
Oh yeah. Oh
Alrighty,
yeah.
be done.
The world of abundance.
So I have to ask you really quick, now that we have the full moon tomorrow, full moon in Aquarius. Hey,
Yes, we do.
are you
Uh-oh,
doing
it's the
anything?
girl. I'm helping facilitate a full moon ceremony by administering Reiki.
Oh, so is there going to be a theme for this?
I don't know. I'm just showing up and doing the Reiki part.
Listen, Tiffy, I need you to represent for Aquarius, okay?
You got it, babe. I can
Thank
do
you.
that. I'm not going to be attached to anything. I'm going to be light and airy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think for the full moon, I guess for me, I always think of the full moons as a time where like really something is illuminating for us, like highlighting what we're full of emotion, full of idea, full of blah, 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 whatever it may be
Mm-hmm.
for you. But this one in particular, I think because I have been daily doing meditations very specific to coming into alignment, like that heart, higher mind alignment. I think tomorrow my full moon ritual is going to be just to be in gratitude for that. Like, I'm really thankful for the shifts in awareness, like even as subtle as they may be. Like, I'm so thankful for the shifts that occur when we really do the work. So, yeah.
And the acknowledgement of that. I've had this year, I've taken a step back to realize some like major shifts that I think I could have easily overlooked.
Yeah.
But I'm being mindful to pinpoint that and be like, wow, I've come a long way. So the work is worth it, but you also should be mindful of having gratitude and giving yourself the credit for what has changed.
Yeah, because you're the only one that can do it.
Right. And versus just like looking into the future of what you want to change, take that time to be mindful of how your reactions to things have shifted for the better.
It's funny you say that. That's actually, I need to do my Reiki Radio podcast, and I'm doing it on manifestation because that's been coming up a lot in the last week. And I was thinking about like my relationship to that and what I think about it and all of these things. But what I would say about that is what I have learned over these years. Even when I first came into this, there was a lot of focus on, I would hear people talking about law of attraction and like, ooh, creation, blah, blah, blah. But it's one of those things people became obsessive about, like obsessive, and drove themselves mad and would be like pissed off if things didn't manifest in the way they were like,
why didn't a gold bar just appear in my hand?
So I've been thinking about that, and really thinking about how there is something to be said about simply aligning with yourself. Like, let go of, again, like trying to dictate how everything should be and look. And what if you just came into a space of aligning with your higher self, your heart, whatever, and then trusting that in that space, you will start to magnetize to you what will best support you. Even if you don't know what that looks like, you'll start to recognize the synchronicities. You will start to come into alignment with the right people, the right things, all of these things. And that's where you hear people talk about being in their flow and life seeming like magic. It's not because they're so great. It's just because they allowed themselves to be in this flow, free from restriction, like the lady we talked about today. So anyway,
but that all requires, that also requires a really deep sense of getting to know yourself also and loving who that person is.
Totally. And I mean, I say that, and maybe I say it in a way like, oh, it's just so easy peasy. Align with yourself. Listen, it has taken like nearly 10 years for me to finally be at a space where I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, I really can let go, like for real let go. Because honey, man, it's a hard thing to truly trust and like go and surrender to. Like, again, maybe things won't turn out the way you think it should, but what if it's better than that? So I mean, it's a lot of work for some of us. I mean, some people, maybe they're not controlling, but we
can talk about this all day long, but until you actually step into it and start to like understand that for yourself.
True story.
Yeah.
So we have help for you. Tiffany is going to have a chakra class launching soon, and the chakra energy is I love the chakras because they remind me of just like a blueprint, a roadmap that really helps us to get it and really understand like what we're holding in consciousness. So hopefully she will tell you when.
Yeah. The more that I'm studying it and getting deeper into this whole process of it, because I'm putting myself through the course as well. I mean, I don't know how we're not studying the chakra system in order to understand how to live life. It's so insane.
Yeah, but it may be, these younger kids that are coming up, by the time they start having kids, it'll probably be something that's part of like just regular curriculum in school. Like, who knows? Instead of PE just being physical, maybe people will also start integrating.
This would be a dream. This would be a dream.
It'd be freaking amazing. And if you want to start to connect with your higher mind or understand how to translate energy, you can join me in Intuitive Mastery. So we have things to support you.
We have resources for you, yes. So tell us what you need. Tell the MBE project what you need. And if we can't support you, we'll tell you where to go.
Where to go. That is right.
We will give you suggestions. We weren't going to tell you anything to do. We'll give you suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it all comes back on us. Like, we have to make these choices for ourselves.
That's right.
And, I have to say too, throughout this year, because we've been doing the podcast for a year now, like we've told you several times that, yeah, this work can be challenging, but promise you, I mean, we wouldn't still be doing it if it wasn't rewarding. So
That's right.
just know, like, if you're in the process of trying to figure this all out and maybe you have some obstacles along the way, it's okay. Like, it really does start to make more and more sense. And you can't even put it into words, but we're here for you. Josh said, these kids and their chakra readings. Yes.
Imagine the parents are like, you go to your room until your solar plexus chakra is fixed.
Yeah. You calm down that sacral chakra until they come back to me. Yeah.
You put that sacral chakra back in your pants.
You open that heart or nobody's listening. Yeah, maybe we should start.
What'd your throat chakra say to me? Oh, I feel a skit coming on.
Man. Okay. Well, no. Okay. Maybe we just
we gotta
left the building.
Close the book on that one.
Us being really excited to get back into our
rabbit holes.
So the chakra journey, once it's over, we will resume
chakra journey, tarot journey.
Oh, right.
We haven't done the chakra journey yet. No, ma'am. That was a long one.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit about chakras as a prelude to Tiffy's class when she's ready to launch. So, but while we still have a few weeks left of this journey, start thinking in your mind, like, what do you want to dive more into? Like, what's coming up for you? Any questions, anything on your path where you're like, I want to know more about this. I want to understand that. Let us know. And Kristen said she's going to use that. Yeah. Tell your kids to get their throat chakras all the way together. Get your life, get your throat.
So good.
Yeah. So
sit your root chakra down. Oh man, this is too good. It's too good.
So, let us know if there's anything that you would like to explore, because we will start, preparing that. I ordered my 2020 planner today, just so you know.
I was just thinking about that like 7 minutes ago. I'm not even joking. I thought about it this morning.
Honey, we got things to put out in this world. I have to get it in order.
I got to make that list in 2019 or else 2020 goes by like that. And
2020 is already in the plans. Okay, so as always, we love you all. We hope to see you soon.
Bye.